What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan. I live in Cambodia and I make varts. Varts, it's video art, much classier than vlogs. Today I want to talk about the dangers of Cambodia. I have someone coming to visit me all the way from Canada. Yeah, people think I'm cool enough that it's worth traveling that distance to come and visit me. No, it's not my mom. Okay, yeah, it is my mom. You know, she thinks I'm really cool. Before traveling, like all moms do, she checked the Cambodia section of the Canadian travel advisory site. You guys know what I'm talking about here. Governments have websites that they use to advise their people in regards to travel. For example, the UK's website says in regards to traveling to Canada, terrorists are very likely to try to carry out attacks in Canada. What? Terrorists are very likely to try to carry out attacks in Canada? They're very likely. Well, that's disconcerting. Today I'm going to have a look at 4 different countries' travel advisories for Cambodia. I'll tell you if you should actually be concerned or if they're just trying to scare you because they're worried that you're going to defect. Mostly, I think this is a good way to warn you about the various troubles in Cambodia and just let you know how to be safe, what to watch out for. I'm sorry, a terrorist attack is very likely in Canada. Has anybody told Justin Trudeau about this? Let's start with the good old US of A. The US Travel Advisory site lists Cambodia as Level 1, Exercise Normal Precautions. And it adds,
exercise increased precautions in Phnom Penh due to crime.
I think this is fair. Definitely be extra careful with your belongings in Phnom Penh, especially when you're riding a motorbike or if you're in a tuk-tuk. When Sara and I are walking down the street, I usually walk on the outside and she walks along the curb. That way, if anybody comes by to try to snatch at her bag, I'm kind of there to block it. We actually had a friend that was robbed this way. She was walking down the street with her husband. She was on the curbside, and then they kind of went around a car or something and they got switched up and she was suddenly on the roadside and a motorcycle immediately drove up, grabbed her bag from her hand and took off. And they think that the motorbike was following them and kind of waiting for an opportunity to strike. And as soon as they switched sides, that was it. Bag gone that quickly. Women are more often the target. No one in Phnom Penh has ever attempted to rob us that we know of, but we are extra cautious, so perhaps that's saved us. So yeah, definitely be cautious as well. Do like Ryan and Sara does. Okay, what else does it say? Increased precautions in
very remote areas of Battambang, Bonte Manche, Porsat, Siem Reap, Pilan, and Kampong Tom provinces due to landmines.
Doesn't say where those landmines came from. 1/3 of landmine casualties are children. There are like 40,000 amputees in Cambodia, which is a really high percentage considering the population. Something like $30 million a year go into clearing landmines in Cambodia. It's a huge problem. It's been a problem for a long time, but every day it is getting better, and I don't think as a tourist you really need to be concerned about that. Cambodia is actually projecting that it will be completely landmine free by 2025, and they've set that goal because it marks the 55th anniversary of the first death by landmines in Cambodia. The website goes on to say,
be extra vigilant when displaying items like jewelry, bags and cell phones in public.
That's a good idea. If I'm standing at the side of the road holding my phone, trying to find directions or something, I usually go 2 hands on it. Like cover up the phone as much as possible. Just give them no chance to grab at it. I definitely don't leave my phone out while I'm doing dips in the park.
I had my bag just sitting there while I was doing some push-ups and pull-ups. They just stole my shit.
That video available. Hashtag get your feet in the KH. Check out the playlist now. Go, go, go. No, wait. Watch this first and then go, go, go. It also says,
violent crime, such as sexual assault and homicide, is common, sometimes against foreigners.
I wouldn't say common, but I'm sure there are incidents that I'm not hearing about because they're reported in Khmer only. I think the English newspapers would report on any sexual assaults or homicides that are happening to foreigners here in Cambodia, and I haven't heard of any that I can think of really. I don't feel comfortable saying that a woman traveling alone in Cambodia doesn't have anything to worry about. That's not fair for me to say. I don't think I can even touch that topic really. But I will say that compared to other countries, I feel like there's less to worry about here in Cambodia. Actually, I found this rating system. It's called the Solo Female Travel Safety Index. They basically rate a country on how safe it is for women to travel, and it takes into account the country's perceived attitude towards women. So 1.0 is the safest and 4 is the least safe. Cambodia scored a 1.5. So I'd say that's, normal precautions should be taken, but it's a relatively safe place compared to maybe the majority of the world. Okay, let's move on to the UK site, gov.uk, foreign travel advice. Sarah is British, so I'm allowed to make fun of Brits. And also she gets emails from them, and they always just seem so paranoid, kind of like the mother from the Bubble Boy movie,
Then Rapunzel left her plastic bubble and died.
Spoiler alert, he didn't need that bubble. Boom, terrorism. What's with the UK saying everybody's gonna get terrorist attacked? Hold on, let me see something here. I'm trying to find if the UK has a rating for their own country. Here are their threat levels. The current terrorism threat level, substantial. So that means an attack is likely. Canada was very likely. I don't like that. I feel like I don't know. I don't like it though.
It's not a competition.
Every single page for foreign travel advice for British travelers has this message.
There is a high threat of terrorist attack globally affecting UK interests and British nationals, including from groups and individuals who view the UK and British nationals as targets. You should remain vigilant.
So basically what they're trying to say there is, we're more important than everybody else, so you have to be extra careful because we're super valuable compared to all that trash out there. At least that's how I read it. It goes on to say that there's no recent history of terrorism in Cambodia, but attacks can't be ruled out. Attacks could happen in places visited by expats and foreign travelers. Hey everybody, there's no recent history of terrorism in Cambodia, but it's possible that a terrorist attack could happen in a place where an expat might be. Yeah, it is possible, isn't it? That's a good call. It's probably best to stay in Britain where the king can protect you. Okay, so they're talking about the border dispute with Thailand here. This area is around 200 kilometers from Angkor Wat. There's a temple there. I think it's called Preah Vihear. And Thailand and Cambodia have been kind of fighting over it. The area was deemed Cambodia's land by the International Court of Justice, but some Thai soldiers came in and occupied the area. The Thai government denied it was happening, but then some Cambodian soldiers killed some Thai soldiers, and they were like,
"See this dead body here? Dead Thai soldier. Told you so."
Or should I say, Thai soldiers so.
That one was in poor taste. Not funny.
So then the Thai government was like, yeah, you got us. And then there was some fighting and stuff, but I don't think there's been any action there for like 12 years or so. Not that I recommend you go to that temple. There's plenty of temples to see in Siem Reap. Okay, the UK government also mentions a bomb being left near a casino in December 2022. So outside of Naga World, there was a cake with a grenade in it that was left on the road by the curb, and a street cleaner actually found it. He saw the people drop it off, I think, and he went up to it and he's like, this is suspicious. So he moved it to the median in the road, and then he called the authorities and they came in and they detonated the bomb. So no one was injured, and I think 4 Chinese nationals and 1 Cambodian woman was arrested for it. There had been labor protests going on outside the casino at that time, so I think the idea was the bomb was going to blow up and it was going to scare the protesters off. The UK mentions that the Riverside and BKK1, along with the tourist areas of Sihanoukville and the nearby islands, are hotspots of petty crime. I'd say this is fair, but theft can definitely happen anywhere in Phnom Penh. You want to be vigilant no matter where you are. I think the areas they're talking about are kind of where the tourists go. It's where they're getting reports from. So it's probably not any safer, for example, over where all the massage parlors are by the airport. And they offer some tips. I think these are pretty good.
Carry bags on the side of you that is furthest from the road. Try to travel in tuk-tuks with metal grills on the back and side that offer some protection against bag snatching.
If you use Grab to order your tuk-tuks, you can order a Maxima. It's a bit bigger than a regular tuk-tuk, and they usually have doors for some added protection. It costs a tiny bit more, but I think it's definitely worth it. Speaking of things that are probably worth it.
Illegal drugs.
No, I'm kidding. Not worth it. Don't do drugs. Some people like to party extra hard in Cambodia, and sometimes that involves doing hard drugs. Turns out, hard drugs, bad for you. Bad. But don't take my word for it. Here's NBA superstar Michael Jordan to tell you about the dangers of drugs.
Don't do drugs. If you're doing it, stop it.
There have been a lot of foreigners, travelers, expats that have died from drugs. Sometimes it's an overdose, but sometimes it's because the drugs are cut with something that's worse than the drug. Honestly, I'd say it's the number one cause of foreigner death in Cambodia. Most stories I hear about foreigners dying in some way involve drugs. Wow, the UK really covers a lot here. Way more than the US. Brits can't adopt children in Cambodia. That's interesting. No commercial surrogacy is allowed. Well, shit. That ruins my plans for this afternoon. They talk here about motorcycle taxis. You're not going to find too many of those in Cambodia. Just take a tuk-tuk. It's just way safer. In Cambodia, you do not need a license if you're driving a scooter or a motorbike that is 125 cc's or less. But please don't use this as your opportunity to learn how to ride a scooter. The streets of Phnom Penh are definitely not the place for that. Countryside roads maybe, but it's probably not a good idea. If you don't know what you're doing, then you definitely don't know what you're doing on the roads in Cambodia. There are enough idiots on the road here already. And if you do get on a motorbike, put a helmet on your head. It's the law. It's not always enforced, especially outside of Phnom Penh, but it's pretty easy to do. So just put a helmet on your head. It could save your life. I'm quite certain I know people who would have died in motorcycle crashes if they didn't have a helmet on their head. Put a helmet on your head. They also mention here that you shouldn't hand over your passport as a guarantee when renting a scooter. That might be a tough one to avoid. I always do research whenever I'm going to rent a scooter. I find a reputable place, and I think every single time I've had to hand over my passport. Some places will take a driver's license instead, which seems kind of weird.
If you want to drive this, then you have to give me your driver's license.
Don't I need the driver's license for driving it?
No, you don't need the driver's license. You just need the driver's license to get the bike, but you don't need it to drive the bike.
If you can do that, I would do that instead. Or some places will take money, usually around $200, and they hold on to that until you bring the bike back. I don't know. I've never had a problem, but I'm always hesitant to hand over my passport, and it doesn't feel good when I see them take it and stick it in a desk drawer. Don't worry, I'll keep this safe for you. Okay, let's head south of the equator to Australia. They actually have a site dedicated to being a smart traveler. They also recommend you exercise normal safety precautions. Does this drop down? Oh, cool. The same exact information. Thank you for wasting my time, Australia. They mentioned the phone and bag snatching right away. I'm telling you guys, this is the thing you need to be concerned about most. This is a recent story, and it's kind of a fresh wound. I'm a little hesitant to talk about it because it messed me up a little bit when I heard about it. It happened just last week. A friend of ours got robbed. They were in a tuk-tuk, and they had their bag on them, and somebody reached in, grabbed their bag. They were on the back of a scooter. They drove off, and they actually pulled the girl out of the tuk-tuk, and she got dragged out into the streets. So I don't want to go into all the details, but she could have died, very easily could have died. As someone who's been a victim of a robbery, a violent robbery, it's so hard for me to hear these things because I know this isn't just, oh, she lost her bag and whatever was in it. Like, first of all, she has injuries that she's going to have to recover from, but she's also lost like trust in humanity, nerve, lost the relationship she had with Cambodia. Maybe now she's just not going to be comfortable in the country. There's so many things and so many things that last a long time, like emotional scars that are really hard to get over. So that's why I just want to stress, be careful with your belongings, especially if you're in a moving vehicle. Be safe out there because it can happen in a flash. All right, let's move on. Let's see, what else does this website say?
Many people in Cambodia own guns. Gun crime, violent disputes, and shootouts are common.
Shootouts are common? They're common. I don't think so. I mean, I've never heard of any shootouts happening here. I wouldn't say many people in Cambodia own guns either. In fact, I think it's illegal for citizens to own guns unless they are part of the army or they are part of like a private security company. Yeah, you can't have a gun here in Cambodia. What kind of BS are you trying to spread here, Australia? Australia's surprising me with all their warnings. Really, this site should just say,
"No cover, don't be a drongo. Nothing more dangerous in Cambodia than what you'll find back by your dunny."
They also mentioned don't swim in fresh water. I don't know. I've swam in the river in Kampot a bunch. Oh, it's nice and cool. I think it's fine. Let's finish this off with my home and native land, true patriot love, and all of us command. All of us, come command. Canada gets the last spot in the video only because I am Canadian, and also the other English choices are like, what, Ireland.
Fake ass drink!
And New Zealand, which we probably wouldn't even be able to understand that one.
I got pit scrubbies and other scrubbies, a couple of chesties. Oh, new one. Want me to twist you off a chesty?
Sorry, Ireland and New Zealand. Real sorry about that. Okay, Canada. Whoa, Canada giving Cambodia a yellow color. That can't be good.
Exercise a high degree of...
Wait, I'm Canadian, so I don't need AI to do the accent. Exercise a high degree of caution, eh? They mention the petty theft, and they add that things have been stolen from locked rooms in low-cost accommodations, as well as from buses. I always try not to put my valuables underneath the bus. I usually just have one bag, and it usually sits on the floor in front of me or on my lap. I do know one person that had their passport stolen from their bag after they fell asleep on a bus. So yeah, just be extra careful. Reports of organized crime in Sihanoukville. So this was a thing that was a big problem last year. I think they've cleaned most of it up now, but they were doing employment scams. People would come to Cambodia from places like China and India, and they would be promised these high-paying jobs, and they sounded great, and they'd show up, and their passports would be taken away, and they would kind of be held hostage. Like, you need to work this much to get your passport back so we can pay for the fees that it costs to get you over here. And the job was to call people and scam them. So it was kind of like a double whammy scammy going on here. We scammed you, and now you're going to scam these people. Canadian site mentions fraud, stating you should pay careful attention if other people are handling your cards, eh? I think this applies to every country, but I do want to mention that it's easy to get confused by the money here. Some people will pay in dollars, and then they'll get change in Khmer real, and it just gets confusing fast.
The total is 8,000.
Okay, here's $5.
All right, here's your change, 10,000. Good?
Is that right? Boom, you just got scammed. I just took 50 cents from you. Let's go to the lobby, get ourselves some snacks, guys. My advice to you is to use the local currency. Forget the USD. It's just, they're phasing it out. The chances that you're going to get USD in change is pretty slim now. So you're going to have to deal with the real anyway. And it's just easier to just use one currency. It might take some getting used to, but in the end, it's worth it. But don't be afraid to take your time. If you are getting change and it's confusing to you, just take your time with it. The people they are fully aware that it's confusing at times, and they'll be happy to help you, show you on the calculator, do the calculations for you. And yeah, just know your exchange rates and do the math.
2 + 2 is 4. 2 + 2 is 4.
If you do find yourself a victim of crime, should you call the police? Will they help? It's kind of difficult here in Cambodia. You don't know for sure if they're going to speak English, and it just works differently here. I'll say that. Most people wouldn't report a crime like theft in Cambodia. I mean, if it's over a certain amount of money, then definitely do it. But for something like getting your phone stolen, getting some money stolen, it's going to be really hard for them to figure out who did this. And chances are you're not going to see that bag again. So sorry about that. Actually, I'm not going to apologize. I didn't do it. Don't blame me for this. That's it for this video. Overall, I would say Cambodia is a pretty safe country, so don't be scared by the travel advisories. Just when you come here, just be smart, be safe, don't be a dummy-dumb. Yeah, that's the message. Don't be a dummy-dumb. Take care, comb your hair. I'm out.
Don't match up, no